Kayla's keys hit the wet pavement before her knees did, the hospital ID badge bouncing once before settling in a puddle that reflected Seoul's gray October sky. Her supervisor's voice cut through the rain like a surgeon's blade. Security will make sure you never work in healthcare again. Thief. The word echoed in the empty parking garage as two guards flanked her, their hands on her arms like she was dangerous, like 3 years of saving lives in their ER meant nothing compared to one wealthy family's lie. Mrs. Park's diamond bracelet, the one her son had pocketed while his mother was sedated, had somehow become Kayla's theft. Security footage mysteriously corrupted. Her word against old soul money. Please, Kayla heard herself say, hating the break in her voice. I didn't. Out. Now. The rain soaked through her scrubs as she stumbled onto the street, her phone already buzzing with notifications. Rent overdue. Visa status under review. And then, her stepmother's name lighting up the screen. Kayla answered because hope was a disease she couldn't cure. Hello. So you finally got yourself fired. Not a question. A statement delivered with the satisfaction of someone who'd been waiting for this call. Don't come crying back to Atlanta. We can't afford to support your mistakes. I didn't steal anything. You never do you? Nothing's ever your fault. Just like your mama. The bitterness in her stepmother's voice was an old familiar wound. You've been nothing but expense and disappointment since your daddy married me. We're done, Kayla. Done cleaning up after you. The line went dead. Kayla stood there in the rain, her scrubs clinging to her skin, and felt the last thread connecting her to anything solid finally snap. She had 340,000 won in her account. For days until eviction. 72 hours before immigration flagged her terminated work visa. And absolutely no one in the world who gave a damn if she disappeared. The woman's voice came from behind her, soft and precise. Kayla Reed? Kayla turned. The woman was maybe 60, wearing a coat, her silver hair styled in a way that whispered old money and older secrets. I'm Mrs. Han. And I think we should talk about your future. What's left of it, anyway. The cafe was the kind of place Kayla had walked past 100 times but never entered, private rooms with doors that closed, servers who moved like ghosts, the scent of money so thick you could taste it. Mrs. Han ordered tea neither of them touched. I'll be direct because you're running out of time. Mrs. Han pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. I represent someone who needs skilled nursing care. 24-hour, live-in. He's been in a wheelchair for 12 years. Complete paralysis from the waist down. Kayla's hands trembled as she reached for the folder. I'm not licensed anymore. The hospital. The hospital lied. We know that. What matters is that you're competent, desperate, and about to be deported. Mrs. Han's smile was calculated, almost kind. He's offering 900 million won for 1 year of your life. The number didn't make sense. Kayla heard herself laugh, sharp, broken. That's not real money. Nobody pays that for basic care. He's not paying for basic care. He's paying for a wife. The room tilted. What? A contractual marriage. Legal and binding for exactly 1 year. You provide nursing care and appear with him at business functions as his spouse. In exchange, 900 million won, immediate visa sponsorship, housing, a monthly stipend of 20 million won, and at the end, your freedom. Mrs. Han leaned forward. Plus all your current debts forgiven. Today. Right now. This is insane. This is survival. His and yours. Mrs. Han's expression softened fractionally. My employer lost everything 12 years ago, his mobility, his wife, his infant daughter. The accident that paralyzed him killed them both. He's been alone ever since, watching his company get picked apart by people who think a man in a wheelchair can't possibly lead. He needs the appearance of stability. You need to not be homeless in a foreign country. It's mathematics, Miss Reed. Cold, practical mathematics. Kayla opened the folder with shaking hands. The contract was real, pages of legal terminology that essentially boiled down to 1 year of her life in exchange for more money than she'd ever imagined having. Who is he? His name is Hyun-woo. He's 33 years old. CEO of Daehan Imports. And he's waiting in the next room to meet you. Right now. The door opened before Kayla could run. The man who entered controlled his wheelchair with the kind of precision that comes from 12 years of practice, each movement economical, nothing wasted, every gesture speaking of adaptation and survival. Hyun-woo had the kind of face that belonged in art museums, sharp cheekbones, intense dark eyes, a mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile. His suit was expensive, perfectly tailored to a body that was too thin, and when his eyes met Kayla's, she felt the assessment like a physical touch. You're younger than I expected. His English was flawless, barely accented. How desperate are you? The question should have been cruel. Somehow it wasn't. Just honest. Desperate enough to be sitting here. Good. I hate liars and I hate pity even more. Can you give me neither? I can give you competent care and professionalism. That's what you're paying for. Something flickered in his expression, approval, maybe, or surprise. Mrs. Han said you were accused of theft. Were you guilty? No. Then why didn't you fight it? Kayla's throat tightened. Because Mrs. Park's son is a Chaebol family member and I'm a black American nurse with a terminated visa. There was no fight to have. Hyun-woo was quiet for a long moment, his fingers drumming against his wheelchair's armrest. I know what it's like to have the world decide you're finished. To be dismissed before you even speak. He rolled closer, his eyes never leaving hers. I'm offering you a way out. 1 year of your life. You live in my home, manage my medical needs, appear at business functions as my wife. In private, we maintain separate lives. You don't ask about my business, I don't control your personal time. When the year ends, we divorce cleanly and you leave wealthy enough to go anywhere, do anything. Why marriage? Why not just hire a nurse? His smile was thin and sharp as a blade. Because Korean business culture doesn't respect a crippled man living alone with hired help. But a married man. A man with a devoted wife who chose him despite the wheelchair. That suggests strength. Stability. Someone worth respecting instead of devouring. He leaned forward. I'm not asking you to love me, Kayla. I'm asking you to help me survive long enough to destroy the people trying to take everything I've built. After that, you're free. Rich and free. Before we dive deeper into the dangerous world Kayla just entered, hit that subscribe button. Smash the like if you're already hooked, and drop a comment telling me if you'd marry a paralyzed stranger for 900 million won. Because what Kayla's about to discover makes that question way more complicated. Now let's get into this. They married in a lawyer's office that smelled like old books and new lies. Hyun-woo signed the papers with the same detached efficiency he probably used for shipping contracts. The officiant was a tired-looking man who'd clearly done this before, performed marriages that were transactions instead of love stories. He pronounced them husband and wife without meeting their eyes. Kayla became Mrs. Choi Hyun-woo at 4:47 p.m. on a Thursday, still wearing the scrubs she'd been fired in, her hair still damp from the rain. The house was traditional Korean architecture wrapped around modern necessity, all dark wood and clean lines, but modified extensively. Ramps instead of stairs. Widened doorways. Furniture positioned at wheelchair height. Every space designed around limitation and adaptation. That first night, Kayla lay in sheets in a room bigger than her old apartment. Her phone sat silent on the nightstand, no calls from Atlanta, no messages from anyone who cared. She was utterly alone except for the man across the hall. The stranger she'd married. The husband who'd paid 900 million won for a year of her life. The morning routine started at 5:45 a.m., intimate, humbling work managing a body that no longer cooperated. Hyun-woo was matter-of-fact about it, but Kayla saw the frustration in the lines around his eyes, the tension when transfers went wrong. By the third day, she'd found her rhythm. And that's when she found the gun. She was looking for medical supplies in what she'd been told was a storage closet. Instead, she found a false wall that swung open to reveal an arsenal, handguns, rifles, ammunition, and stacks of Korean won mixed with US dollars that had to total millions. You weren't supposed to find that. Kayla spun. Hyun-woo filled the doorway, his face unreadable. What the hell is this? Insurance. He rolled closer, no apology in his eyes. Daehan Imports moves freight. Legal freight, electronics, textiles. But we also move other things. Weapons. Pharmaceuticals. Occasionally people who need to disappear from one country and reappear in another. His voice was flat, matter-of-fact. I took over this operation after the accident. It was either run it or watch it get torn apart. You're a smuggler. I'm a survivor who happens to move cargo that doesn't have proper documentation. He studied her face. Does this change your opinion of our arrangement? Kayla thought about her empty bank account, her terminated visa, her family that had abandoned her. I'm not exactly in a position to judge. We're both doing what we need to survive. His smile was sharp and approving. Practical. I knew I chose well. Chose. Something in his tone made her skin prickle. What does that mean? It means Mrs. Han didn't find you randomly, Kayla. I've been watching you for 3 months. Your work ethic. Your isolation. Your desperation. He rolled closer, and there was something predatory in the movement. You were perfect. Competent enough to be useful. Alone enough to be controllable. And desperate enough to say yes. The words hit like a slap. You manipulated me. I offered you a way out when you had none. There's a difference. His eyes held hers. You can leave right now if you want. But we both know you won't. Because where would you go? He was right. And they both knew it. Over the next week, Kayla learned the full scope of Hyun-woo's world. Business dinners where men discussed shipping routes and sensitive cargo over expensive wine. Charity galas where Seoul's elite whispered about the unfortunate accident while circling like sharks. And through it all, Hyun-woo moved with cold precision, outmaneuvering rivals who underestimated the man in the wheelchair. Then she met his brother. Jae-sung arrived without warning, sweeping into the house like he owned it. He was taller than Hyun-woo, broader, with none of the wheelchair-induced thinness. His smile was warm, his handshake firm, and his eyes assessed Kayla like she was merchandise. So you're the American nurse my little brother bought. He said it in Korean, probably assuming she wouldn't understand. Tell me, how much did he pay for you? Kayla responded in fluent Korean, enough that I don't have to tolerate disrespect from anyone. Even family. Jae-sung's smile widened. She has teeth. I approve. He switched to English. But you should know something about my brother, Kayla. He doesn't do anything without a reason. Every decision is calculated. Every relationship is transactional. His eyes cut to Hyun-woo. Even marriage. Jae-sung. Hyun-woo's voice was ice. Leave. Not until we discuss the Busan situation. The container that disappeared. That was 2 billion won in product, little brother. Our partners are getting nervous. They're starting to wonder if the man in the wheelchair can still control his operation. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. The Busan situation was resolved. The responsible parties have been handled. Have they? Jae-sung leaned against the wall, all casual menace. Because I'm hearing whispers that someone's moving against you. Someone who knows your operation inside and out. Someone who wants Daehan for themselves. If you have information, share it. If you're here to gloat, get out. Jae-sung's smile was sharp as broken glass. I'm here to remind you that family protects family. But only when family proves they're worth protecting. He nodded to Kayla. Lovely to meet you, sister-in-law. I hope you survive what's coming. After he left, Hyun-woo was silent, his jaw tight. What did he mean by that? Kayla asked. My brother thinks I'm weak. That the accident made me vulnerable. He's been positioning himself to take over Daehan for years. Hyun-woo's hands gripped the wheelchair rims hard enough to whiten his knuckles. He's wrong. And soon, everyone will know it. That night, everything changed. Kayla woke to hands clamping over her mouth, yanking her from bed. She tried to scream, but something sharp pressed against her throat, a knife, cold and precise. Quiet, a male voice hissed in Korean. Or I open your throat. They dragged her downstairs, where two more men waited. One had a gun pressed against Hyun-woo's head. He was in his wheelchair, his face carved from stone, his eyes burning with cold fury when he saw Kayla. Let her go, Hyun-woo said, his voice deadly calm. Your fight is with me. Our fight is with anyone who gets in our way. The man with the gun smiled. Mr. Jae-sung sends his regards. He's decided it's time for new leadership at Daehan. And that starts with removing obstacles. Kayla's blood turned to ice. Jae-sung had sent them. His own brother. Jae-sung doesn't have the spine for this, Hyun-woo said. Who's really paying you? The man's smile faltered. Just for a second. But it was enough. Someone who's been waiting a very long time to destroy you, Prosecutor Choi. Prosecutor. The word hit Kayla like a physical blow. What's he talking about? She asked. Hyun-woo's eyes closed briefly. Kayla. 12 years ago, before the accident, your husband was a federal prosecutor, the gunman said, clearly enjoying this. His specialty? Smuggling cases. He put dozens of people in prison. Destroyed families. Ruined lives. He pressed the gun harder against Hyun-woo's temple. And now he runs the same operations he used to prosecute. Beautiful irony, isn't it? The room spun. Kayla stared at Hyun-woo, seeing him with new eyes. Is that true? Yes. His voice was quiet. I was a prosecutor. The accident happened during a case, someone ran me off the road, killed my wife and daughter. When I woke up paralyzed, I had nothing left. No family. No career. Just enemies and rage. His eyes met hers. So I became what I used to hunt. I took over the operations I used to destroy. And I've been surviving ever since. You lied to me. I omitted. There's a difference. The knife at Kayla's throat pressed harder. Touching reunion. But we're on a schedule. Mr. Jae-sung wants you dead by dawn, and we're professionals. What happened next moved in slow motion. Hyun-woo's hand moved with impossible speed, pulling a gun from beneath his wheelchair cushion, the same place Kayla had seen him keep his phone. He fired twice. The man holding the gun dropped, blood blooming across his chest. The knife at Kayla's throat jerked, but she was already moving, her nursing training taking over. She drove her elbow back into her captor's solar plexus, twisted out of his grip, and dropped to the floor. Hyun-woo fired again. The third attacker went down. The man who'd held Kayla scrambled for the door, but Hyun-woo's final shot caught him in the leg. He collapsed, screaming. Silence crashed down like a physical weight. Kayla's hands were shaking, her breath coming in short gasps. She just witnessed 3 men shot. One definitely dead, maybe all 3. Hyun-woo was already on his phone, barking orders. Cleanup crew. Now. 3 targets, 1 still alive for questioning. He rolled to Kayla, his hands gentle as they checked her for injuries. Are you hurt? No. Her voice broke. You were a prosecutor. You sent people to prison. And now you're a criminal. Yes. His hands framed her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I did my job. I made sure justice happened. And it cost me everything, my family, my body, my career. So I rebuilt myself into something that could survive. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I'm not asking you to forgive me for lying. I'm asking you to understand why. Before Kayla could respond, Mrs. Han entered with a team of men who moved with military precision. They carried the bodies out like furniture, cleaned the blood with industrial efficiency, and within 30 minutes, the room looked like nothing had happened. Mrs. Han approached Hyun-woo, her face grim. The one who's still alive. He's talking. Says Jae-sung paid him 50 million won for the hit. But there's more. She glanced at Kayla. Should we discuss this privately? No. She stays. Hyun-woo's hand found Kayla's. Whatever you have to say, she hears it. Mrs. Han's expression tightened. The attackers weren't just working for Jae-sung. They were also paid by someone else. Someone who's been funding operations against you for months. Someone who wanted Kayla specifically targeted to destabilize you. Who? A woman. American. She's been using the name Rebecca Reed. Kayla's world tilted sideways. That's my mother's name. But she's dead. She died 6 years ago. Mrs. Han pulled out a tablet, showed them surveillance footage from a Busan hotel. A woman in her 50s, elegant and cold, entering a room where Jae-sung waited. It was her mother. Older, harder, but unmistakably alive. No, Kayla whispered. That's not possible. If your mind is blown right now, you're not alone. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what you think is happening because this story is about to get wild. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Now back to the chaos. Kayla couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The woman on the screen, her mother, supposedly dead for 6 years, was alive. Meeting with Jae-sung. Funding attacks against Hyun-woo. I need to sit down, she heard herself say. Hyun-woo guided her to the sofa, his hand never leaving hers. Mrs. Han, tell us everything. We've been tracking the funding sources for the attacks on Daehan. The money trail led to shell companies in the Caymans, then to a woman operating under multiple identities. Rebecca Reed is one of them. Mrs. Han swiped through more images. She's been in Seoul for at least 6 months. Meeting with your rivals. Paying for intelligence on your operations. And specifically asking about your wife. Why? Kayla's voice came out strangled. If she's alive, why would she? Then the pieces clicked together. Hyun-woo, what was your last case? Before the accident? His face went very still. Kayla. What? Case. Pharmaceutical trafficking. A doctor was stealing prescription drugs, falsifying customs documents, moving product through underground networks. His voice was quiet. His name was Thomas Reed. He got 15 years. He died in prison after 7. The room spun. My father. You prosecuted my father. I didn't know you were his daughter. Not when Mrs. Han first approached you. I swear. But you knew eventually. When? Her voice was rising, hysteria creeping in. When did you figure it out? The second day. I saw your father's name on your visa application, ran a search, made the connection. His eyes held hers. I almost called it off. But then I thought, maybe this was fate. Maybe this was my chance to make amends for the family I destroyed. Amends? Kayla jerked away from him. You married me as some kind of penance. Some way to feel better about putting my father in prison. No. I married you because I needed you. Because you were competent and alone and desperate. The connection to your father was complicated. But it didn't change the fact that I needed a wife and you needed a way out. Kayla stood, her entire body shaking. My mother. She faked her death. She's been planning this for 6 years. And you brought me right into the center of her revenge plot. I didn't know she was alive. But you knew who I was. You knew my father died in prison because of you, and you thought what? That marrying his daughter would fix that. She laughed, sharp and broken. How long before you were going to tell me? Or were you just going to let me find out like this? Kayla, please. Don't. She backed toward the stairs. I need to think. I need to. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. Hello. Hello, baby girl. The voice was warm honey laced with arsenic. I bet you thought I was dead. Kayla's knees gave out. She sank onto the stairs, the phone pressed so hard against her ear it hurt. Mom. Surprised? Don't be. Death is easy to fake when you have money and motivation. Her mother's laugh was exactly as Kayla remembered. And I've had 6 years to plan the perfect revenge on the man who destroyed our family. You've been alive this whole time. Very much so. Very busy. Waiting for you to be exactly where I needed you, married to Choi Hyun-woo, right in the center of his criminal empire. The satisfaction in her voice was chilling. I arranged everything, sweetheart. Your firing, Mrs. Park's son, was easy to bribe. Your desperation, I made sure every door closed in your face. And then Mrs. Han's offer, right when you had nothing left. The room tilted. Mrs. Han works for you. Mrs. Han works for whoever pays her. And I've been paying very well. Her mother's voice turned sharp. But things have gotten complicated. Jae-sung was supposed to kill Hyun-woo tonight. Clean. Efficient. Instead, your husband killed my contractors and now Jae-sung is running scared. Kayla looked at Hyun-woo, who'd gone very still, clearly hearing every word. What do you want? Kayla asked. I want you to finish what Jae-sung couldn't. I want you to kill Choi Hyun-woo. The words hung in the air like poison. I can't. You can and you will. Because I have something you care about. There was a pause, then a new voice came on the line. Young. Terrified. Kayla. It's me. Please help, her half-sister Zoe's voice cut off with a scream. Zoe. Kayla was on her feet, her heart hammering. If you hurt her. I won't. As long as you do exactly what I say. Her mother was back, her voice cold and precise. You have 24 hours to kill Hyun-woo. Make it look like an accident. A fall. Wrong medication. I don't care how. But if he's still breathing tomorrow night, I send Zoe back to Atlanta in pieces. Mom, please. The man you married destroyed our family, Kayla. Your father died in prison because of him. And now Hyun-woo runs the same criminal operation he used to prosecute. He's a hypocrite. A monster. And you're going to put him down like the dog he is. The line went dead. Kayla stood there, phone in shaking hands, her entire world crashing down around her. Hyun-woo rolled closer. We'll find your sister. I have resources. Your resources got us into this. Kayla spun on him. You knew who I was. You knew my mother might still be out there, might want revenge. And you married me anyway, put a target on my back, made me complicit in whatever sick game this is. I thought she was dead. Everyone did. But you didn't tell me about my father. You let me fall for you, let me care about you, all while hiding the fact that you're the reason my family fell apart. Tears were streaming down her face now. How am I supposed to trust anything you say? Because I'm telling you the truth now. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Your father was guilty, Kayla. The evidence was solid. He was trafficking stolen pharmaceuticals, using fake customs documents. People died from contaminated medication he moved. I did my job. And it destroyed my family. Yes. It did. And I'm sorry. His voice broke. I'm sorry your father made choices that put him in prison. I'm sorry your mother couldn't forgive it. And I'm desperately sorry that you've been used as a weapon against me. He forced her to look at him. But I didn't create this situation. Your mother did. And we need to work together to stop her. Kayla wanted to scream. Wanted to run. But Zoe's terrified voice echoed in her mind. What do we do? She whispered. We find your sister. We stop your mother. And we survive. His hand finally caught hers, holding tight. Together. If you'll trust me one more time. Mrs. Han cleared her throat. If I may, I can track the phone call. Find where it originated. But we're working against a 24-hour deadline. Hyunwoo's eyes never left Kayla's. Do it. Pull every resource we have. I want that girl found before sunrise. The next 12 hours were a nightmare blur. Mrs. Han's team traced the call to a building in Gangnam, an abandoned office tower scheduled for demolition. Surveillance showed heat signatures on the top floor. 2 adults. One smaller form that had to be Zoe. It's a trap, Hyunwoo said, studying the building schematics. Your mother knows we'll come. She's counting on it. I don't care. Zoe is 17 years old and she's there because of me. Kayla was already strapping on the bulletproof vest Mrs. Han had provided. I'm going. We're going. Hyunwoo checked his weapon with practiced ease. But we do this smartly. Mrs. Han's team provides backup. We go in quietly, extract your sister, and get out before your mother can spring whatever she's planned. They approached the building at 3 a.m., Hyunwoo in a specialized wheelchair designed for tactical operations, reinforced frame, hidden compartments for weapons. It should have been absurd, but he moved with such cold efficiency that Kayla found herself believing they might actually survive this. The elevator was disabled, forcing them to use the stairs. Mrs. Han's security team carried Hyunwoo up 18 flights, their boots silent on concrete. Kayla's heart hammered with each step, Zoe's scream playing on loop in her mind. The top floor was a gutted office space, bare walls, exposed beams, Seoul's lights glittering through broken windows. And in the center, tied to a chair, was Zoe. Kayla started forward, but Hyunwoo caught her arm. Wait. He was right. This was too easy. Hello, baby girl. Her mother stepped from the shadows, elegant in a black suit, a gun held with comfortable familiarity. Right on time. Behind her, Jae-sung emerged, and beside him, Kayla's breath caught, Mrs. Han. No, Kayla whispered. Mrs. Han's expression was apologetic but firm. I'm sorry, Mrs. Choi. But family comes first. And Rebecca offered me something your husband couldn't, freedom from his operation. A chance to retire with enough money to disappear. Hyunwoo's face was stone. You've been feeding her information from the beginning. Not the beginning. Just the last 6 months. Mrs. Han pulled her own weapon. Long enough to help Rebecca position all the pieces exactly where she needed them. Rebecca, Kayla couldn't think of her as Mom anymore, smiled. You're wondering how this ends. Let me tell you. Jae-sung kills his brother. Tragic accident during a confrontation about the business. Mrs. Han testifies that she witnessed Hyun-woo threaten Jae-sung first. Self-defense. She turned to Kayla. And you? You tried to save your husband but got caught in the crossfire. Collateral damage. Sad, really. And Zoe? Kayla asked. She goes home. Traumatized but alive. I'm not a monster, sweetheart. Just a woman who lost everything and wants the man responsible to pay. Rebecca's eyes were ice. Your father died in prison. Alone. Broken. Because of Choi Hyun-woo's self-righteous crusade for justice. Now Hyun-woo gets to know what that feels like. My father was guilty, Kayla said quietly. He trafficked drugs. People died. Your father was trying to survive. He made mistakes, yes, but 15 years. For moving medication. Rebecca's composure cracked. And this man gets to do the same thing, worse things, and faces no consequences because he's rich and connected? I face consequences every day. Hyun-woo's voice cut through the tension. I lost my wife. My daughter. My ability to walk. I live with what I did, what I've become. The difference is I don't blame other people for my choices. Noble words from a cripple about to die. Jae-sung raised his gun. What happened next moved in chaos. Hyun-woo's wheelchair exploded with hidden weapons, smoke grenades that filled the room, blinding everyone. Kayla dove for Zoe, her hands working on the ropes. Mrs. Han's security team burst through the windows on rappelling lines, their weapons already firing. Gunshots. Screaming. Kayla got Zoe free and dragged her toward the stairs, but Rebecca was there, her gun aimed at Kayla's chest. You chose him over family, Rebecca said, and there was genuine grief in her voice. You fell in love with the man who destroyed us. I chose survival. Same as you. Kayla put herself between Rebecca and Zoe. But you're right. I do love him. Even knowing what he did. Because people are more than their worst choices. Rebecca's gun trembled. He took everything from me. No, Mom. Dad's choices took everything from us. Hyun-woo just did his job. Kayla stepped closer. And you've spent 6 years becoming exactly what you claim to hate. You've hurt people. Manipulated me. Kidnapped Zoe. When does it end? For a moment, one perfect, fragile moment, Rebecca's mask cracked. Kayla saw the mother she remembered, the woman who used to sing her to sleep, before grief and rage had twisted her into something unrecognizable. Then Jae-sung's voice shattered it, enough talking. He fired at Hyun-woo. Mrs. Han stepped into the path, taking the bullet meant for him. She went down hard, blood spreading across her chest. Hyun-woo returned fire. Jae-sung dropped, screaming, his leg shattered. And Rebecca ran. Kayla should have let her go. Should have focused on getting Zoe to safety. But she couldn't. She chased her mother to the roof, where Seoul sprawled beneath them like a circuit board of lights. Rebecca stood at the edge, the wind whipping her hair, her gun still in hand. Don't, Kayla said. Please. This doesn't have to end like this. It ended 6 years ago when your father died alone in a cell. Rebecca's smile was broken glass. I'm just finishing what should have happened then. By killing yourself. By making me watch you die again. Kayla moved closer. I've lost so much, Mom. Don't make me lose you twice. You never had me, baby girl. Not really. From the moment they put your father in prison, I was already gone. I just didn't make it official yet. She stepped closer to the edge. Tell Zoe I'm sorry. Tell her her mother loved her, even if I forgot how to show it. Mom. Rebecca stepped backward into empty air. Kayla lunged, her hand catching her mother's wrist. They hung there, suspended between the roof and the 18-story drop, Rebecca's weight pulling them both toward the edge. Let me go, Rebecca said. No. Kayla, you can't hold me. Let me fall. No. Kayla's shoulder screamed with the strain, her fingers slipping on sweat-slicked skin. I won't let you go. Not again. Strong hands grabbed Kayla's waist, Hyun-woo, somehow out of his wheelchair, his upper body strength keeping them both anchored. Security team members reached over, hauling Rebecca up and over the edge. They all collapsed on the roof, breathing hard. Rebecca curled into herself, broken sobs racking her body. Kayla held her, this stranger who was her mother, and felt something inside herself finally break open. I hate him, Rebecca whispered. I hate what he took from us. I know. Kayla stroked her mother's hair. But this has to stop. All of it. Before you lose everything that's left. Below them, sirens wailed. Mrs. Han's security team had called it in, the attack, the kidnapping, everything. Jae-sung was in custody, wounded but alive. Mrs. Han was being rushed to surgery, her fate uncertain. And Kayla sat on a rooftop, holding the mother she'd mourned, married to the man who destroyed her family, caught in the wreckage of choices made years before she'd even understood the consequences. Hyun-woo rolled to her side, someone had brought his chair up, and his hand found hers. The police are coming. Your mother will be arrested. Kidnapping. Conspiracy to commit murder. She's looking at 20 years minimum. I know. Kayla's voice was hollow. Rebecca lifted her head, her face ravaged but somehow peaceful. It's what I deserve. I became the monster I was fighting. She looked at Hyun-woo. You did your job 12 years ago. Thomas was guilty. I know that now. I've always known it. But admitting that meant admitting I wasted 6 years on revenge instead of being there for my daughters. Her hand found Kayla's. I'm sorry, baby girl. For all of it. For leaving you. For using you. For not being the mother you needed. I'm sorry too, Kayla whispered. For Dad. For everything that happened. The police arrived. They took Rebecca away in handcuffs, gentle with the broken woman who'd orchestrated an elaborate revenge plot. Zoe was checked by paramedics, traumatized but physically unharmed. She clung to Kayla, sobbing, and Kayla held her sister and felt the weight of every choice that had led to this moment. 3 days later, Kayla sat in Hyun-woo's study, the contract between them on the desk. 9 months left. 9 months of a marriage built on lies and desperation and a twisted connection to a case 12 years old. I'll understand if you want to void the contract, Hyun-woo said quietly. You fulfilled your end more than anyone could expect. I can arrange for the full payment, immediate visa sponsorship, everything I promised. Kayla stared at the papers. This was her out. Her escape from the man who'd prosecuted her father, who'd married her knowing exactly who she was, who'd pulled her into a world of smuggling and violence. She should take it. Should walk away with the money and never look back. Instead, she said, Mrs. Han survived surgery. She's cooperating with prosecutors in exchange for a reduced sentence. I know. Jae-sung is facing attempted murder charges. He'll be in prison for years. I know that too. And my mother will probably die in prison. Just like my father did. Kayla's voice cracked. The symmetry is almost poetic. Hyun-woo rolled closer, his hand gentle on her knee. I'm sorry. For all of it. For prosecuting your father even though he was guilty. For marrying you without telling you the connection. For pulling you into my world of violence and crime. His eyes met hers. I'm sorry that loving you has cost you so much. Loving me? Kayla's breath caught. Yes. His smile was sad and genuine. Somewhere between the morning routines and the business dinners and watching you refuse to let your mother fall, this stopped being a contract for me. You became the thing I was afraid to want. A partner. Someone who sees me as human instead of broken. He pulled back slightly. But I'll understand if you can't forgive what I've done. What I am. Kayla thought about her father, guilty of crimes that had killed people. Her mother, consumed by revenge until she'd become what she hated. Hyun-woo, a prosecutor who'd become a criminal, seeking survival in the wreckage of his destroyed life. And herself, a nurse who'd married a stranger for money and found something she'd never expected. Love, complicated and painful and real. I don't forgive you, she said finally. Not yet. Maybe not ever, for some of it. His face fell. But I understand you. And I think I might love you anyway. She reached for his hand. You're not a good man, Hyun-woo. But you're not the monster my mother painted you as. You're just someone who survived the only way you knew how. Same as you. Same as both of us. She picked up the contract, held it for a moment, then tore it in half. I'm not staying for the money. I'm staying because I choose to. Because despite everything, the lies, the violence, the impossible tangled mess of our history, I want to see what we could be if we started telling each other the truth. His hand cupped her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. I was a prosecutor who sent your father to prison. I'm a criminal who runs the same operations I used to destroy. I'm paralyzed and ruthless, and I will always be willing to do terrible things to protect what's mine. His forehead pressed against hers. Can you love someone like that? I already do. She kissed him, soft and searching. Can you love someone who's the daughter of a man you put in prison? Who reminds you of the prosecutor you used to be? I already do. He pulled her into his lap, his arms surprisingly strong. We're a disaster, you know that. The worst. She laughed against his mouth. But we're honest about it now. That's something. That's everything. 6 months later. Kayla sat in the prison visiting room, the glass partition between her and her mother feeling like a universe. Rebecca looked smaller in her prison uniform, her hair going gray, her face lined with exhaustion. How's Zoe? Rebecca asked. Good. She's living with me and Hyun-woo. Taking online classes. Starting therapy. Kayla's hand pressed against the glass. She asks about you. Tell her I'm sorry. For everything. Tell her yourself. She wants to visit next month. Rebecca's eyes filled. I don't deserve. None of us get what we deserve, Mom. We get what we choose. And I'm choosing to not lose you again. Kayla's voice was firm. You're going to serve your time. And when you get out, if you get out, there will be a place for you. Not with us, not at first. But somewhere. A chance to rebuild. Why? Rebecca's voice broke. After everything I did. Because people are more than their worst choices. You taught me that, even if you forgot it yourself. Kayla stood. I have to go. Hyun-woo has a meeting, and I'm learning the business side of Daehan. The legitimate side, she added at her mother's expression. He's been transitioning operations. Slowly. Carefully. Trying to become what he used to fight for. Can people really change that much? Kayla thought about the man waiting for her in the car. The husband who'd been a prosecutor, then a criminal, now something complicated in between. The man who'd loved her enough to let her go and loved her more when she chose to stay. I think we can try. That's all any of us can do. Try to be better than we were yesterday. She left her mother crying behind the glass, walked out into Seoul's autumn sunlight, and found Hyun-woo waiting. He'd started physical therapy again, small steps with crutches, his legs slowly remembering what they'd forgotten. He'd never walk normally. But he was trying. How was it? He asked as she slid into the car beside him. Hard. Good. Necessary. She took his hand. How was your meeting? The prosecutor's office agreed to immunity for my testimony against the northern trafficking routes. In exchange, I have to fully legitimize Daehan within 2 years. He smiled ruefully. Turns out becoming legal is harder than becoming a criminal. But you're doing it. We're doing it. His fingers threaded through hers. You're the one who convinced me it was possible. They drove through Seoul's chaos, two broken people choosing to rebuild together, their history a wound that might never fully heal but no longer define them. Kayla's phone buzzed. A message from Zoe, dinner tonight? I want to hear more stories about Dad. The real ones. Not the sanitized versions. She showed it to Hyun-woo. She wants to know about her father. Should I tell her everything? Tell her the truth. That he made mistakes. That he paid for them. That he was human. Hyun-woo pulled into their driveway, the house that had once been a prison feeling more like home every day. We all deserve the truth, even when it's complicated. Especially when it's complicated. That night, over dinner with Zoe, Kayla told stories about her father, the good, the bad, the criminal, the human. And Hyun-woo added his own perspective, the prosecutor who'd built the case, who'd seen the evidence, who'd done his job even knowing it would destroy a family. It was messy. Painful. Honest. It was healing. And later, alone in the bedroom they now shared, Hyun-woo pulled Kayla close and whispered, "Thank you." For what? For choosing this. For choosing us. For making me believe that someone like me deserves something more than survival. She kissed him, soft and deep. You gave me the same thing. A reason to stop just surviving and start living. So what do we do now? Kayla thought about the contract she'd torn up. The marriage that had started as a transaction had become something real. The impossible, complicated love they'd built from lies and truth and the wreckage of a 12-year-old case. We try, she said. We keep trying to be better than we were. Together. Together, he agreed. And in the Seoul night, two people who'd bought each other for survival chose each other for love instead. If you made it this far, you absolute legend, drop a comment telling me what you thought of this wild ride. Did Kayla make the right choice staying with Hyun-woo? Could you forgive someone who prosecuted your father? Hit that subscribe button because I've got more stories coming that will mess with your head just like this one. And smash that like button if you're Team Kayla and Hyun-woo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.